Hello and welcome back to MPE 2023 in Berlin. I'm Hannah Wallace, and kindly joining me now in the studio is Tobias Hilbert from ACI Worldwide and Johannes Kolbensson from Paystrax. Hello to the both of you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to be here.
Really good to have you
Thanks
on.
for having us.
No problem at all. I'm really looking forward to discussing those big payments trends and the opportunities that follow for merchants. But first, I want to begin by looking over the horizon and thinking about some of those new payments challenges that merchants should be aware of. So let's start there. What are some of those challenges? Tobias.
So I would say what merchants find quite challenging these days is the ever-growing payment mix from APMs, different acquirers, other payment methods which are coming up, and also managing that together with a proper fraud approach to control all of this, in combination with the different challenges on the finance side of things when it comes to contract management and also then reconciliation of all these different payment methods, in particular if the merchant is acting on a global level and has probably very specific setups in the different markets and in the different categories they're operating in.
All right, that's interesting. And Johannes, is there anything you'd like to add there?
No, well, all the different payment methods coming up, also with crypto payments coming in and then maybe going down a little bit now. Maybe we'll be coming back in a more regulated way. It becomes sometimes confusing for the merchants which alternative payment methods should they choose. What do they need to offer in order to increase their buy now, pay later, and all this is different ways coming in and going out. Maybe the bigger market challenge is regarding AML and compliance, which is an ever increasing, and is killing a lot of business, even good business, because it's becoming so strict. And everybody's scratching their head. Nobody knows what's next.
I think that's interesting because obviously Johannes is coming from an acquirer side of things, from the gateway side of things. We are not so much in touch with that because that's what the acquirers take care of. But it's a very good point that in whatever business the merchant is operating in, KYC regulations and things like that might make it more challenging to get contracts signed and get the MIDs or whatever other elements are required in order to accept the payment, which goes back to the first point I made about the payment mix. You need to really pick and choose your payment method which you think will drive the most customer adoption, but also has a good commercial element to that, because it might be quite expensive to accept it, even if it drives a lot of revenue, but that obviously increases the cost on the merchant side for offering that payment method.
All right, and I want to hear a bit more about your advice around conversion rates further down the line, but we've discussed the challenges. I want to hear a bit more about the opportunities on the horizon as well. What are some of those positive payment trends that merchants can expect from 2023 then going forward?
So I would say what is really something to look out for is instant payment or open banking. I think that's quite interesting. It's not there where it needs to be, if you ask me. In particular for the customer side of things, as a consumer, I don't think there's not yet the reason to use it. On the merchant side, to accept it, because it's probably more favorable from a commercial point of view. There's lots of good things to that. What we see is that there's quite a decent uptake in the B2B business on that area between the merchants. So that's a very interesting area we are seeing right now with a lot of our customers. And another element which I think is very important is network tokenization, or tokenization in general, in combination with things like SRC or one-click.
Yep.
That's also something what is growing more and more, as I think merchants are beginning to understand more and more the importance of catching and binding the customer to the brand, to the shop, so that there is a recurring business happening, even if we don't talk about subscriptions or something, but still we want that customer comes back and shops again.
No, that's right. And Johannes, exciting trends for you?
Well, I would agree to most what he said, but payments business is inherently conservative. When you're looking at new payment methods, you have to look at, does it work for you, does it work for your grandparents and your kids? So when you're bringing out a new type of payment, then maybe it's technologically a wonder and it does everything you need to, but then we're still trying to get away from cash.
Yeah.
So I think that cash will develop into probably open banking transfers, account to account. And then the credit cards and the debit cards, they will still be a big part. They're still gaining a lot of growth every year. And cash is still majority part of the payments, so we're still, it will take some time.
Yes.
So it will probably go slowly. There will be changes, but slow changes.
No, it's a really interesting one. Does that match with your predictions to this?
I would agree. What we can see, if you look back to the pandemic, obviously there was a massive spike when it came to shops being closed and things like that. Now everything is open again. We are sort of back to normal. But you can see when you look at the payment volume numbers and the transaction numbers that we are flying on a level which is like twice or 3 times as high, depending on the merchant where we have been before. So you can clearly see that during the pandemic, a lot of consumers which have been forced to go online, the boundaries they had to overcome, they're now quite happy that they did overcome them, and they now stay online because they actually realize, okay, this is quite convenient, I know how to do this. So I think that will drive more adoption because these boundaries came down.
All right, so taking what we've covered so far into account then, what advice would you end on then? What's the best way to keep conversion rates healthy moving forward then? Johannes, we'll start with you.
Conversion rates, healthy conversion rates, well, that doesn't mean necessarily highest conversion rates, because what takes the conversion rates down, of course, is on the one side user experience, and that's what it's important to have, like a simple interface and so on, but it's also from the acquirer's point of view and merchant, is how do you keep fraud in control. And if you want to control it more, then you get down, the conversion rates go down. Mm-hmm. And so it's not only, and then that is where you go into the details of the parameters in the gateway on how exactly to manage them to get the right traffic in, but keep the bad traffic out.
All right, Tobias.
I would agree. So when it comes to conversion rates, it's not that the highest conversion rate wins, because what you want to do is you want to take a reasonable amount of risk to enable good revenue, which is not getting charged back to anything like that. And what we have seen, there is not the silver bullet to do this. It should be, there's a lot of machine learning talks and this and AI and all of that. Yeah. We have not seen that there is the silver bullet. What is most efficient, what we see, is that if there are multi-layered approaches, taking the best of all the different things which there are, from machine learning, rules engine, profiling, whatever it is, and combine it to one really powerful tool which serves you best. And then also, of course, conversion, we can look at it just from a payments perspective, but it starts much earlier in the shop. How's the usability? How's convenience? Do I support impulse purchases and things like that? But also then, if the transaction should get declined, for example, do I have follow-up process? Am I suggesting another payment method to the shopper? Mm-hmm. Or am I following up via an email, sending out a link and say, hey, you dropped your basket, how about you use this payment link, and then you go back and shop? So these sort of things are really important, together with a proper, healthy risk approach to enable good revenue. Because if you are too restrictive, then you are abandoning a lot of good business. If you are too aggressive, then you have a lot of chargebacks. So it needs to be the right mix, including also the follow-up processes and the processes at the beginning when the shopper enters the shop in the first place.
A really helpful example there, and some sound advice to end on. Tobias, Johannes, we'll leave it there and let you get back to the event to share your thoughts with the rest of the delegates. But thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.